3 years ago, I went through a very confronting time in my life. It was also a very conflicting time. You see, my career was taking off. I went from 1,000 subscribers on YouTube to 100,000. I went from selling 3 tickets to a stand-up show to selling out all over the country. Everything was going amazingly. However, at the same time, I was struggling. I started having panic attacks, I had extreme anxiety, and I had developed this form of PTSD. It was all surrounding this rare form of epilepsy that I had developed in my early 20s, and it had gotten worse over that time period. Now, that controlled me for a long period of time. Thankfully, through a lot of hard work and changes in my own life, I was able to get through that to where I am now. I still have my issues, but I'm working on them. But it was this experience that made me realize that we all face immense challenges throughout our lives. Another person who went through something like this and succumbed to the very catacombs that are your mind was Dr. Jordan Peterson, famous author, psychologist, and professor of psychology. To cut a long and menacing story short, Jordan Peterson was at the rise of his fame. He was huge, world tours, sold out shows, and in that period of time, in fact, just when this photo was taken of himself and me, Jordan Peterson's wife was diagnosed with a deadly cancer, something that obviously rocked his entire world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to find out more, the links are below to videos that Michaela Peterson has done, friend of the channel, and Jordan himself has done as well as his wife, explaining this in great detail, but this is basically the dot points. The horrific diagnosis of Jordan's wife led him to this horrific downfall into a pit of anxiety, one that could only be controlled with a strong dose of benzodiazepines. Now, he then became addicted to these, and these are extremely addictive indeed. I was prescribed these myself. I didn't take them, and after learning all this, thank fuck I didn't. The story goes that the only way that Jordan was able to get out of this horrendous addiction was to go and be put in a coma in Russia. That's how hectic this situation was. Thankfully, Jordan Peterson's wife's diagnosis improved, but when asked about the withdrawal symptoms that Jordan Peterson was suffering from, she said he is taking anti-seizure medication and cannot type or walk unaided. Thankfully, somehow Dr. Peterson overcame all of this, and it is a credit to himself as a man to do that. He sought medical intervention, something that we all should do if we need it. Somehow throughout all this, he even wrote his new book, and I will leave a link to that down below that you can get if you're in Australia to pre-order it now. The reason I made this video though is to really comment on the absolute garbage that came from the far left-wing pieces of shit on Twitter and the left-leaning media that went above and beyond when it comes to being a huge piece of shit. They attacked his declining mental health. They attacked him for not being able to help himself, even though he wrote a self-help book, even though it's not really a self-help book, but anyway. They wished his death, they wished his family's death, and they just were general pieces of shit. But if there's one that takes the cake, it is the publication The Guardian. They have printed so many anti-Peterson stories that it is just ridiculous to go through them and sift through the shit. But I found one, and this was the one that I've never had more displeasure in reading. It's written by a dude called Nathan Robinson, pictured here, and obviously this man gets all the pussy in the world. Publishers are not obliged to give bigots like Jordan Peterson a platform. Firstly, whenever I read shit like this and people start talking shit about Jordan Peterson, a lot of people have said it about me being a fan or reading his books or having his daughter on my podcast, people really get upset about it, and it's something I've never understood. I really think that people who would potentially not like Jordan Peterson, if they just listened to what he had to say rather than listening to fucking other nutbags about what they think about him, then they would not be able to form this opinion that he's a bigot or a transphobe or a horrible person. I don't think any free-thinking human being could form that opinion if they just listened to what he had to say. But Nathan Robinson goes full ham in this article. Let's just check him out one more time. Here's some of the great pieces that he has written in the past. Riots aren't violence. Nice one. Your job is a miserable, grinding dictatorship. Time for socialism. Media bias is okay. if it's honest. But this one did my fucking head in. This one that he wrote about Jordan Peterson. Publishers are not obliged to give bigots like Jordan Peterson a platform. Jordan Peterson, the Canadian psychology professor and lobster-loving life coach. It's always strange when people use the lobster thing to discredit Jordan Peterson. If you don't know what it's about, the first chapter of the book 12 Rules for Life, and you should read it, is all about lobsters and how they form hierarchical structures. The chapter itself discusses in detail about things like the serotonin levels in lobsters increasing when they rise to the top of the hierarchical structure and decreasing when they fall to the bottom, much like humans do. The reaction of the lobster's body and the neurology of the lobster is very similar to humans. The brain shrinks and the emotional brain takes over. In fact, it would point to the idea that hierarchical structures are older than trees themselves. When people discredit Peterson or try to, when they call him Lobster Boy or talk about the lobsters and laugh about the lobsters, it just points to one thing. They haven't read the book, they don't understand what he was trying to say, they've got no fucking idea what's going on, and they're just basically listening to other people, second, third, fourth hand, and going, look at me, I know what's going on, Jordan Peterson's a bigot, and they act like a fucking fool. Peterson came to public attention after refusing to use the preferred pronouns of transgender people. No, Robbo, that never fucking happened. Peterson said countless times that if you want to be called a man, he will call you a man. If you want to be called a woman, he will call you a woman. Why? Because that's the polite thing to do. But you shouldn't be reprimanded. You shouldn't be put in jail. You shouldn't be fined if you don't do that. It should not be dictated by law, and your freedom should not be put in jeopardy just because you don't make a particular sound with your face. The polite thing to do is use those pronouns, and that's what I would do, but it shouldn't be dictated by law. He has a new book coming out, and some of the staff at Penguin Random House Canada were reportedly not pleased with the company's decision to publish it. These pricks broke down in tears. You fucking children. When the publisher announced that it would be bringing out Peterson's Beyond Order, 12 More Rules for Life, a sequel to his 2018 bestseller, 12 Rules for Life, management received dozens of complaints. A book that has helped millions of people worldwide could be in jeopardy because of dozens of people. The same, well not the same, but a very similar thing happened to me when I was doing my stand-up show last year and for next year in Canberra. Right? I had the show booked. We were ready to go, put the tickets on sale, and 2 people complained with this article here that I was a big piece of shit, grossly inappropriate comedian to perform at Canberra, which is the university, well, who knows. My show nearly got stopped because of 2 people bitching and moaning about shit they don't have any idea about. 2 fucking idiots. Thankfully, the Canberra University came to their fucking senses. We did the show. There were 700 people there, and they all had a marvelous time. And I'll see you motherfuckers next year. People are gonna find things offensive. If we curtail everything in life to 2 people, to 20 people, to 50 people, then we'll never get anything fucking done. Anyway, back to Robbo's piss poor article. At a company town hall meeting, some employees were reportedly in tears as they described how Peterson had radicalized people in their lives. Radicalized! Are you mad? Predictably, the staff who complained were criticised as being overly sensitive and excessively woke. I can't imagine why. And I'll also add hypocritical because Penguin Publishing published fucking this. Where's your town hall meeting about that, people? It has standards. And it's reasonable for employees to argue that Peterson does not meet those standards. After all, he suggested that gay marriage might be a plot by cultural Marxists, that women wearing makeup in the workplace is sexually provocative. Okay, well he actually said in the video that you linked, Robbo, that it is designed for sexual provocation.
What's the purpose of makeup?
Some people would like to just put on makeup.
Why?
I don't know why.
Why do you make your lips red? Because they turn red during sexual arousal. That's why. Why do you put rouge on your cheeks? Same reason.
I mean, look.
How about high heels? They're there to exaggerate sexual attractiveness.
Women have invented makeup to look more attractive. Okay? Now, whether that is sexual provocation, I don't really agree with that certain sentiment, but what it is people are trying to look more attractive. That's why people cake their face in fucking makeup, because their head is fucked. Women do it because they want to look better than the other girls. They want to look more attractive, just like the other girls, which I guess is them trying to look more attractive for the sexual partners that they might want to have. So maybe it is, I don't fucking know. It's a very tough subject. But to go out there and say that Jordan Peterson is a piece of shit because he mentioned this is fucking weird, Robbo. He also suggested that trans women aren't women because they aren't capable of having babies, that women can't handle the truth, that transgender activists are comparable to mass murdering Maoists. He peddles debunked scientific theories and dangerously dodgy diets. I've gone through his work myself, wow, you're amazing, and shown that he is a crackpot. Well, saying that trans women aren't women because they can't have babies is scientifically true. It's not nice, but it's true. Robbo says that he mentions that women can't handle the truth. He's talking about an interview that Peterson gave talking about lectures, that he doesn't mention particular things, that in some subjects people just can't deal with that truth. And when Robbo says that, oh, he's talking about women can't handle that, well, in a lot of cases, these people who take these studies like women's studies or social dusters, fucking whatever, they can't handle the truth. They freak the fuck out. They riot in the streets. Debunked scientific theories. He's talking about lobsters again. Dodgy diets. Well, he's talking about the carnivore diet, a diet that a lot of people have had success with. And as far as Peterson being a crackpot, it sounds like you're the one calling the kettle black crackpot. When Pankaj Mishra wrote a critical review of Peterson's work in the New York Review of Books, Peterson called Mishra a prick and said he'd happily slap him. Well, he did say that, but he also said that because Mishra called Peterson a fascist. Yeah, the things he says are often false, prejudiced, and dangerous. Shall we go back to this article that you wrote about riots not being violence? What have we just seen in America? It is important to make this distinction clear because many conservative claims about being censored actually just amount to demands that their opinions be elevated far beyond their worth. That evidence-free, bigoted speech be given any prestigious platform it demands, with criticism seen as proof that the critics are tolerant. None of this is about criticism of Jordan Peterson's work. This man, Robbo, whoever the fuck he is with his fucking shit haircut, he demands that you listen to him in his weird socialist ways. He's attacking Jordan Peterson's work without giving it any credit for actually what it is. It says that he's gone through Jordan Peterson's work. Have you, Robbo? Have you really? Have you just skimmed through it or have you dived deeply into it? It seems that you've just heard someone else talk about it and you thought, oh, here's my opportunity to go out and get a bit of notoriety about myself. This is why free speech is so important. Giving into people's delicate sensibilities to people who probably jerk off over Che Guevara posters, bending the knee to them is only going to end up in a just awful world. Controlling ideas, controlling reading, controlling thoughts, dictating what you can say and what you are not allowed to say is reprehensible. And after all, that's what Jordan Peterson fought for in the first place. Ladies and gentlemen, be a good motherfucker. Peace in the Middle East. Let me know what you think down below. And I'll see you all very soon. Keep it moist. Toodaloo, au revoir.